I'm Kat Iniba, and welcome back to Halo Halo, your top entertainment and lifestyle show for Asian Pacific Americans. Joining us today is the director, the writer, and one of the producers of the mysterious drama Tentacle 8. Welcome, John Chi.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. Congratulations, because I know this is an independent film, and it's pretty difficult to do an independent film and then get it released on DVD. It's releasing or movie screening in New York.
Right.
And also going to be available on video on demand.
Right.
So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Now, first tell us a little bit about the film.
The movie's called Tentacle 8, and it's a political thriller set in the world of global espionage.
Yes.
And mainly centered around the NSA. And prior to, I'd say, recent events, really most people didn't know a lot about the NSA.
Right.
And the NSA stands for the National Security Agency. And it is widely considered the most powerful spy agency in the world.
Right.
And the fact that no one knew a lot about them was a good reason to try and explore what that world was like. And, you know, as fate would have it, kind of in our favor, recent events had that all this information got leaked out to journalists about the NSA and what they had been working on. And prior to that, a lot of people didn't know what they did. A lot of people didn't know what their purpose was for. And for better or worse, you know, I think the public is a little bit more aware now of what the agency does and somewhat what their responsibilities are for protecting the United States. And I think it's fertile ground for storytelling to find out a little bit more and kind of set a story within that kind of mysterious world.
Right. So you were inspired and you decided to write this film, Tentacle 8.
Yeah, you know, I think there's a lot of things that probably in the last 10 years I had recently become a dad.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And you know, when that happens, you kind of take on, as I think most of your audience, the Asian American families and their culture and their heritage and their families. They're important. And I think for me, I started examining my own parents and how lucky I feel that they've been able to give me what they've given. And as a new father, I started thinking about what am I leaving behind for my kids? And you know, a lot had happened. A lot had happened politically, and I wouldn't say I'm a particularly political person. But I think things, when you think about, you know, when my kids grow up, it's going to be harder for them.
Exactly. What kind of world will it be? All this social media.
Technology. What's happening with technology?
It's kind of scary, if you ask me.
Yes.
And how is that going to affect our kids?
Exactly.
And future generations.
And that, you know, in a nutshell, why I made the movie really was to examine and to provoke some type of conversation about what are we doing, and are we aware as much as we should be of what's going on, so that we can help educate our kids so that they can ask the right questions, because a lot of these problems, unfortunately, I won't be around to solve. But I don't want to leave behind so many messes for our kids that, you know, that they're not going to have the kind of future that we had. You know, it's infinitely more complex, the world that they grow up in, and you know, they seem to manage it pretty well, you know, with all their electronics and that we didn't have.
Exactly.
But you know, exponentially more complicated are the issues that they have to grow up in, and so that's part of why we made the movie, is to kind of challenge the audience to think about these things that otherwise things are moving so fast, so quickly that you don't have a moment to think.
Slow down sometimes.
Exactly.
It's time to slow down. I also noticed that it says Tentacle 8, everything is connected.
Yes.
Why did you have to have that on the title or part of the DVD?
Well, I think a lot of people were very curious about the title itself. And they thought.
Can you tell our viewers a little bit about it?
Sure. Sure. You know, I think most people, when they hear about a tentacle, they think about almost like a monster movie, right? Something that's very, you know, dangerous or whatever, and tentacles. And oftentimes the world has been referred to as a machine in a way, because there's so many different parts that go on to the government and finances and global economies. It's complicated. It's overwhelming, really.
It's like,
I mean,
right?
It is. Just
where do I even begin to get all this information?
And how do we make sense of just one area?
Exactly.
And the reason we call it Tentacle 8 is, you know, I did some research about, you know, how octopus, they have eight arms.
Right, right.
But each one kind of acts independently. And the idea that they are all interconnected and working even though they seemingly do different things.
Right.
And so I thought that was an interesting analogy, if you will, for all the different things that go on in our world, and you know, the technology aspect, the media aspect, which you're very familiar with, and you know, the finances, the global finances that are so interconnected today. That it's not just the U.S. economy, it's the Asian economy, it's the European economy, and how they're all interconnected. How one thing moves, everything else moves together, and it's so incredibly complex that you know. It can just fry your brain if you try and think about how are these things connected.
And then aside from all of that, there's human relationships too. And then I noticed in the film you had mentioned we need to preserve our conscience. Was that the underlying message that you wanted to present in Tentacle 8?
I think so. I think if there's one kind of slogan or word or line of dialogue, it's without conscience, there's nothing left to protect. And that if we've all kind of lost our way, if we've lost that through core of why we do what we do, then we're just acting as machines.
Robots,
almost, And we might be really good at it. We might mechanically be able to process everything. But if we've lost why we're doing this,
then what's the point, right?
Kind of, you know, and as complex as it is, you sometimes lose sight of, you know, you're here for your kids, you're here for your family, you're here to preserve what you consider to be the moral and ethical high ground of things that are important to you. And that's very subjective, right? That's very controversial as to what is right and what is wrong, and I think people can have a healthy debate as far as what that is. And
well, that's what you wanted with the film.
That's what we wanted.
You wanted to spark conversation, and you say that so well in the film and even here right now. For those that want to go see it and are in New York, I know you have a screening happening in New York, right?
It's going to screen at the Anthology Film Archives, which is a world-renowned art house theater in New York. And we're going to be screening there for 1 week. And it's meant to serve as a promotion for the upcoming video on demand release, which is happening on June 25th. But we will be in New York for all your audience and family members who are in New York. We'll play from June 18th through June 24th.
And then I noticed that it's also available on DVD now on Amazon.
That's right.
So if you guys want your hard copy, make sure to check out Amazon. And then video on demand soon, June 25th.
June 25th, it'll be to iTunes and Google Play and all the major digital outlets.
Thank you so much, John. And for more info on the film, where can we go?
You can see our website at tentacle8.com and our Facebook page at facebook.com/tentacle8.
Thank you so much again, and congratulations on the film.
Thank you, Kat.
Again, for more information on John's film Tentacle 8, make sure to check out his website at tentacle8.com. You can also go to his Facebook page at Tentacle 8. Time for a quick break, but don't go anywhere because we have more entertainment news, all when we return.